Welcome yet again to another tower ranking. Last time I ranked the advanced towers, now it is time for hardcore towers. Hardcore towers consist mainly of expensive and very high DPS towers that have their own abilities. Special about these towers is, Brawler has a reposition, Necromancer his raise the dead's accelerators overheat, engineers sentries. All of these special gimmicks are only seen in these 4 towers, which I will rank and explain the overall strengths and weaknesses. Hardcore towers are bought using gems, currency which can be gotten from hardcore, polluted wasteland and hidden wave, can also be bought for Robux. Easiest way to get gems is from hardcore mode, which has a trialing 50 waves consisting of many different and exclusive enemies like lead balloons and rushers, with packed waves and every detection being necessary. All towers are 50% more expensive. Hardcore has many bosses, having Grave Digger, Molten Boss, Fallen Swordmaster, Fallen King, and lastly Void Reaver. Void Reaver is one of the toughest bosses in TDS, having 1.2 million health, and moving quite fast when at 200,000 health. Beating Hardcore rewards 300 gems. But now, ranking the Hardcore towers, going in the TDS wiki order, I will go more in depth as there is only 4 towers. I will also do 2 different rankings, my opinion and current viability. First tower, the Brawler. The Brawler is a melee tower, who knockbacks enemies and deals high damage with medium fire rate. The Brawler unlocks an attack combo at level 2, dealing extra damage and knockbacking. Brawler is cheap and great value at early levels, however gets expensive quick. At level 4 he unlocks the reposition ability, changing his position and dealing damage and knockbacking enemies when landing. The Brawler's high DPS, stun immunity and repositioning are all great, however Brawler had very short range and lacks hidden detection, and is bad against crowds without using his ability. The Brawler is still a great melee tower, for speedrunning and more difficult modes. The Brawler is probably the second strongest melee tower in the game. Brawler's main weakness is no hidden detection, short range and low placement limit of 6. He more than makes up for this with stun immunity. Brawler is very used across all game modes, for most people landing him top a tier. I personally rank him bottom a tier, never really like to use him, as Sledger exists. The second hardcore tower, Necromancer. The Necromancer is technically the newest hardcore tower, as it had recently changed from exclusive to hardcore. The Necromancer has a long range with medium damage and fire rate, at earlier levels shooting piercing shots, and at max level dealing direct damage to 3 targets, more if there is less targets. The Necromancer's damage fills his soul meter, and once full can spawn graves on the path, and with his ability the graves turn into skeletons that collide with zombies. The skeletons get stronger every upgrade. Necromancer is surprisingly cheap for what he can do. Necromancer's main weakness is bad map layout and very low placement limit of 3. For most people, Necromancer is a troll pick. Most people don't like him for not spawning graves fast enough, however with DJ, Commander and Mercenary boost, he can build max graves insanely fast. Necromancer can also be inconsistent, as his ability makes him stop shooting got quite some time. Necromancer is a rare sight, as not many people favor him, however in certain situations, Necromancer can be extremely good. Most people will for sure put Necromancer as low as B, however I will put him bottom of a tier. I personally like Necromancer, and think he is pretty good in most situations. For sure better than Brawler in my opinion. Third is the Accelerator. The Accelerator is the first hardcore tower to be released, when hardcore came out. Accelerator deals medium damage with very high fire rate, medium to long range. Accelerator focuses on boss DPS, having very high DPS on max level. The Accelerator has an overheat mechanic, having to charge up his gun, and when enough damage is dealt he burns his hand and needs a recharge. Accelerator has 2 major weaknesses. First is having bad targeting. When Accelerator shoots at an enemy, he can't switch targets until he overheats or the target dies. Second weakness being prone to stuns, since he has to recharge once stunned. Accelerator also can't be fully buffed by supports, because his overheat mechanic limits it. Accelerator is my personal favorite tower in TDS. Sadly, he isn't the strongest. Accelerator is for sure strong, however Ranger and Pursuit dominate the meta. Most people would rank him around A or very top of B. I will personally rank him the best tower in the game. Lastly, the Engineer. The Engineer was the first tower to have 6 upgrades, and is the most expensive tower in TDS, Gems and Robux wise. The Engineer focuses on overall damage and is effective throughout the game, having cheap early upgrades, pretty cheap mid-game upgrades, yet expensive late-game upgrades. The Engineer has every detection, and her sentries have lead every level, and hidden past level 5. The Engineer has one extremely large flaw, and that is that her sentries can't be buffed in any way. Engineer herself can, however she isn't all that strong. Engineer is somewhat stun immune, her sentries having shields when she isn't stunned. Engineer is great in every single way, however her max DPS isn't that good compared to most other DPS. Engineer is a really good DPS tower, even with the biggest flaw. Most people would say S tier. And I personally do too. Okay, but here are the rankings. Top 1 is more of the current meta, bottom is my personal opinion. Next video will be ranking golden towers, but before exclusive towers, I will have something else in store. Bye.